Facebook/WrestleProAlaska. Facebook.com/WrestleProAlaska.
Facebook.com/WrestleProAlaska. And do you have the dates again? Sorry.
April 2nd and April 3rd is in Soldotna. April 7th is in Fairbanks, and April 9th and April 10th is in Palmer.
And you also got Aleki coming down there, right? Pineapple King.
Yeah, Aleki is gonna be in the shows. I think he's in all shows. I'm not sure.
Okay, cool. So Aleki, geez, I don't know it.
Siva Afi is good.
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to have two conversations at once. Aleki is Siva Afi's son, and he runs the Oos wrestling promotion out here in Hawaii, out of Waimanalo, which is down the road from me. This is just for everybody else who's listening. Okay, let me see if I can rectify Angela's situation real quick. Once Angela gets in here, then we can start going over the what's it called? The PowerPoint that Dana did for us. But yeah, we got a good amount of people in here, so it's going to be a very good day. And there's Wessa. Talo for Wessa. So Wessa is from the very far back village of Kailua. Coming to us live from the kitchen. Babe, do you know if you can help Angela? She's trying to get in the Zoom, but she says she needs certain information. I sent her the link directly to her messenger, but I'm not sure if that works. And I can't keep lo computer nga libo pa oh my family. I'm glad I have you in the other room so I can tell if I'm speaking too loud. Have you guys ever heard the term Faipe? I'm very Faipe, so it means I'm deaf. So I can't hear how loud I am when I talk, and that's why sometimes when I record my Zooms, I go back there and I feel like I'm yelling at the person. But yeah, babe, if you can try and help Angela, I'm going to start with the screen sharing and begin our lesson. If I can please call on Adam Uso. Mafala makakako si Kalapa muli.
Sorry, were you talking to me? Sorry.
Yeah, Uso, do you mind starting us with a short prayer from the morning?
Okay, sorry. I was cooking, that's why.
No worries, Uso, no worries.
Our Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you for being able to come together on today and talk about the things that so wants to address. Please bless us that all of us are in a sound mind while we're learning things. And we thank you in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so today we had some suggestions from Brother Vernon, and I malo faftai tamafanene to say malo to talo netayao. So I'm going to start screen sharing because I don't have Dana with us today. And desktop, okay. And share. Don't mind my background. That's supposed to be goals for working out. Yeah, so I have here. Oh, geez, I can't get to that. Okay, let me close these out. Okay, so this is the PowerPoint that I got from Dana. She was really, really great at making this PowerPoint. Can you guys still see it? Hello? Anybody there?
I see that on Gagana Samoa week 2.
It's just loading on my side. Oh, there you go.
Okay, cool, cool. Mahalo. Fa'afetai. All right, Gagana Samoa week 2, Sunday, March 28th, 2021. So our vocabulary for today is going to be with mea'ai, which is, anybody can tell me what mea'ai is?
Food.
Malo, Adam. Mea'ai is food. Anybody got any idea what mea'ai a'ano is? This one right here. Anybody heard this term before, mea'ai a'ano? Wait, sorry.
Like starch.
Very good. Who is that?
Leone.
Leone, you're going to get a gold star. Okay. No. So starch. Now, what are some examples of starch that we have in Samoa? Anybody know this word? This is pretty easy.
Talo.
Talo. Anybody know what talo is in English?
Taro.
Taro, very good. So talo is taro. In Hawaii, I believe we say kalo. I'm not sure about the other Pacific Island. I don't know about what's it called, about Aotearoa. I think they switch out their L's for R's, but I don't know that they have taro there. They have more what we call kumara or kumala, which is, I believe, similar to a sweet potato. Here's a picture of talo. So yes, we got talo correct. This is a taro. Anybody know what kind of taro this is? Talo though.
It looks like a kamu.
Yeah?
It looks like a kamu.
I don't want to kamu.
I thought Kamu's bigger than that.
Yeah, kamu is bigger than this. Kamu. Is this like a Kalapa langi or a Kalo, not Ilingi Kalapa langi, yeah. Kalo Hawaii. All right, moving on. Fa'i. Anybody got fa'i for us?
Fa'i. Banana.
Very good, Wesa. Fa'i is banana. Does anybody know what you call the fa'i when you cook it this way?
Fa'alifu fa'i.
Fa'alifu. There's another word for it, though, that we use often in Samoa. Anybody know what we call this in Samoa besides fa'alifu? Starts with an S.
S?
Yes, starts with an S. Four-letter word starts with an S. It's got a unique letter in there that we don't often use.
Suavai.
Is that a four-letter word? No, not suafai. Suafai is more like a dessert with tapioca and all that stuff. And the other word I'm looking for is saka. Sakafai. What is this one? Leonie, you got this one?
Travis.
Ulu, breadfruit.
Ulu breadfruit. Very good. Like nga ulu ya dihan. What do we call this kind of ulu? Ano maafala dia? So this species of breadfruit we know as the maafala. There's different shapes to the ulu. Some are called aviloloa, some are called puo. Puo looks more like a big rounder one, and it's got these things. I don't know if you call them scales, but they look like scales, but they're kind of bigger. That would be puo. I'm not really sure what the differences are in what aviloloa looks like, but I know that there are different kinds. This is one of the more common ones, known as the Mafala, which is also the last name of a family, I believe, in Aua. There's a lot of police officers out here in Hawaii that have that last name, but you can relate that to the ulu.
George is trying to get in.
Who?
George.
Okay, let me... Oh, sheesh. Okay, I know how to do this. Let me let George in. Okay. Exit full screen. Participants. There's George. Okay. Right, getting back to our Zoom present. So this is what we call Elisa. Anybody got the English for Elisa?
Elisa.
Elisa. Yes. So Elisa is the Samoan version of rice. What do we call this kind of word when it's a different language word, but we've taken it and made it Samoan? Anybody got a name for that term?
Like in English or whatever. The name of Samoan.
Yeah.
It's we were just talking about it in our class too. They just made the term data.
There's a lot of different terms. Some of the terms I have heard used are phonetically translated. Some of them are called borrowed words, which in Samoa the term is upu nono. Nono is when you borrow money or when you make a loan. So yeah, loan word. So this is what we would call a loan word, which is often translated by the sounds rather than the actual meaning, which is why when you get place names, like a lot of times you'll have places like New Zealand, we have a word called fo, which means new. But when we make a new village after an old village, we call it, the old place would be Lauli'i, the new place would be Lauli'i Fo. So it's the same kind of situation with Zealand and New Zealand, but when we translate it this way, we're doing it by sound rather than the actual meaning. All right, so moving forward, we have, so we're done with mea ai ano, and we're going into mea ai Fala'au, or anybody know what fala'au means?
Like a plant?
Yeah, very good. It is a plant, or it is the, so it's kind of like the fruit of the plant. In Samoa, the term fruit is all-encompassing, so it doesn't just mean fruit. It can also mean like the products of a plant. Roots, leaves, and some. So like fala'au can also be used to refer to lettuce or tomatoes or, different things that come from plants, but very good. And actually, you could actually use it to refer to flowers as well. Fala'au also means flower, and it also means medicine. So as we move forward to fala'au, Anybody know what this means? This one is kind of self-explanatory.
Tomato.
Tomato, very good. So is this an indigenous word or is this an upunano?
Upunano.
Very good. Upunano. This is a loan word from, anybody guess what language this comes from? I'm pretty sure this one comes from English. And here we are. It is tomato. How would we say this in Samoan, though? How does this sound in Samoan? Anybody want to give us an example?
Amato.
Tomato. Very good. Wow, George. I recognize that, George. In Samoa, we have interchangeable T's and K's. So while we do say tomato for the formal version of tomato, the more common use of this word would be to switch out the T's for K's, and it would sound something like, Wesa, do you want to give it a shot? What would it sound like more commonly?
Kamako.
Kamako. So this is our kamakos, which is another type of Laulau. So what do we have here? This is another word. Leonie, you want to try this one out for us?
Kapisi.
Kapisi, malaya, lilek. So do you have the translation for this word?
Cabbage.
Very good, cabbage. So this is another upunano, huh? Upunano malingangana fa apertania po lingangana fo fa apalangi. This is an English borrowed word, kapisi, which means cabbage. This is a different kind of cabbage too, huh? That looks like, what is that, bok choy? Let me go back. Oop. Sorry, Adam got kicked out. I'm trying to find him. This is why I love having Dana in the class, because then one person can do the screen share and the other person can host. I don't see him in the waiting room, so. Are you guys able to see the waiting room if anybody comes in? No? Okay. And then Wes is doing that. Ikeole, are you able to see the waiting room if you put out the participants tab?
I can see it, but I don't see no one waiting.
Okay, can you just leave it open and, okay. Adam's on his way. Malo Angela, there's Angela's finally in here.
Yeah.
Awesome. Our group is getting bigger. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the screen share. There's Tamafan in it. Okay, we've got everybody in. I'm gonna go back to the screen share. Ikeole, just keep an eye on it. If anybody needs to be let in, let me know and I'll grab them, okay? Okay, okay, going back to screen share again. Once again, don't mind Rick Rude as he pops up. Go in there. And going back to our lesson plan. Present. Okay. Kapisi is our word for today. Pakeka. Anybody got pakeka? Pakeka, sorry. Tamafandene, you got the meaning of pakeka and what kind of word it is?
Is it potato?
No, yeah, you the man. Pakeka is potato, and is it a upunano or a indigenous word? Shh. Peace out.
I think it's a foreign word.
Very good. It is a foreign word. Once again, this is one of those words where we've switched out T's for K's. It's supposed to be patita, and that's what it's written as in the dictionary. But again, more commonly we say pakeka, just like we say kamako. And let's see if we're right. It is a potato. It is. You can see this lovely slideshow that Dana made. She put a lot of work into it, and I love how it looks. Dana is an awesome volunteer that we have here for our group. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Kaloki. George, do you want to give this one a shot? I'm sorry. One more time.
I'm not sure what it means, but
if you say it, do you got a guess?
Carrots.
Yep, you got it. That's perfect. Very good. Especially going along with our theme.
That word is in Samoan.
What?
Don't Google what that word is in Samoan.
What did you say?
Some points.
Kaloki. So kaloki is carrot. Now, is this an indigenous word or an upunono, a borrowed loan word? This question's gone out to George again.
Oh, that's a loan word.
Very good. Yes, it's a loan word. In fact, carrots are a loan fola'au, so we didn't have these until the settlers arrived. And very good, George. You are correct. These are carrots. Kaloki. Now, this is one also that the K is proper because we don't say taloti. So, because you don't have the T sound in the loan word. So, Kaloki is correct. We wouldn't change these to. Well, actually, I think you would change the last K, right? It would be Kaloti instead of Kaloki. But that's only if you were writing a dictionary, which we never do. Moving on to the next slide, we have Kukama. Wesa. Oh, PC. Okay, we're going to need another volunteer. Anybody want to volunteer to do Kukama?
Okay.
Cucumber.
Cucumber, awesome. Cucumber, which is another upunano, another loan word. And we are correct. These are cucumbers. And again, no T sound in cucumber, so kukama is correct. Oh, we needed to adjust this later. All right. Lakisi. Anybody know lakisi? This one could also be latisi instead of lakisi.
Lettuce.
Awesome, George. Lettuce. See, you're on a roll, George. And George is correct. We have iceberg lakisi over here. Now, here's one that me and my wife don't agree on. But this is my wife's translation of it. Anybody know this one? This is an interesting one because it's not a phonetically translated loan word, but it is a loan word nevertheless. What about you, Leone? You have any guesses about what this is? Remember now, staying within our theme, it is a mea'ai, and it is also a mea'ai fola'au. So it's a plant product, and it's a food.
Sanga.
Mm-hmm. Sanga.
Sorry. And then it's corn.
Oh, you're the bomb. How did you know it was corn?
Because we eat sanga a lot.
So the part that me and my wife are having a disagreement on is because in the dictionary, it is written as S-A-N-A. But again, with the changing of the T's and K's, we also change the N's to G's sometimes. So sana is what I learned, but I only learned it from reading the dictionary. But sanga is what my wife is more accustomed to calling it. So that was where the discrepancy came. But once again, this is a discussion. We're not trying to create a standard. So everybody's going to understand things different ways. Ani, ani. Anybody got a shot at ani, ani over here?
Onion.
Very good, Tamafanene, onion. So once again, another upunano, another loan word, and we have onion. And we got two types of onions over here. We got the white onion and the red onion. I don't know that we have words that differentiate, though. Going on. All right, so we're on to our next vocabulary, and this is ipu tau mea ai. In other words, dishes for eating. And this is dining vocabulary. And our first word today, ipu mafala fola. So ipu is going to be the word that kind of, this is the standard right here for saying dish or any kind of dish, whether it be a cup or a plate. Sorry, going back. Sorry, Uso, we didn't have laupele today. I didn't put that in the vocabulary. Like I said before, it's not supposed to be a standardized, so I didn't cover everything, but that is a good contribution. Thank you. So Tamafanene sent me a PM asking about laupele. Laupele is actually, I believe, it's a relative of the hibiscus, but Samoan cabbage that grows in Samoa that is edible. The leaf is actually edible, and they use it a lot in soups. And during, I want to say in the early 2000s, there was a big health movement in American Samoa, and that was one of the foods that they really promoted was laupele and its health benefits for our Samoan people, trying to move away from more processed foods and back into more indigenous foods. So faftaya oi tamafanene tusai male fa so matango fie. Coming back to our vocabulary for today. So ipu mafolafola. Anybody have any idea what the word mafolafola means? Mafolafola. Wesa. Lale faparang ele mafolafola.
Flat.
Very good. Flat. So what kind of ipu would be a flat ipu?
Plate.
Malo or a plate. And let's see if we're correct. There we go. We have a plate. Don't you just love how like Dana went and looked for like the most Samoan pictures that she could find? She found a picture here with a plate with a new on it, especially for the discussion. Faftaitileya o Dana. So ipu mafolafola means plate. And going on to the next slide, we have ipu inu. Tamafanene, what does inu mean? Do you know the word inu?
Drink.
Drink, very good. How do we normally say it, though, instead of saying it the way it's written? What do we usually say?
Apa ingu?
Ingu, right? We don't say the N, we usually say the G, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So apa ingu is actually, that's a good contribution because that's actually a soda. That's apa is the can. But ipu ingu would be a, like, what kind of dish would be a ipu ingu?
A cup?
Very good. Yeah, a cup. Awesome. So we have ipu ingu cup. Now here's an interesting question. Is this an indigenous word or is this an upunono? Anybody can answer if anybody has any ideas. Is this a indigenous word or is this an upunono from another language?
Indigenous?
It's a ipu, no?
Yeah, this would be indigenous. because the word ipu actually comes from the shell of the coconut, which is what we used to drink previous to that. If you've ever watched the ava ceremony where they use the coconut shell to pass the ava, that's where the word ipu comes from. It's not a word that we've borrowed from another language and then translated into Samoan. It's our own word, ipu. And then inu is our word for drinking. So it's two indigenous words combined used to express I guess a loan item, because this kind of cup is not something that's indigenous to our culture, but it is indigenous words that we have used to describe what a palangi cup looks like. So very good, everybody. Thank you for your contributions. And we will move on to the next slide. Famalo atu ya oi, tamafa nene, famalo atu fo ya oi, George, tusai matali matungo fiele wa olua maya. Thank you guys for your wonderful contributions and answers. Here's another one. Anybody have any idea what, in fact, I'm going to give this one to Ikeole. Malama, you have any idea what that means, Ikeole?
I think it's deep. I thought it was, but I don't know if it's true.
Malama can mean deep, but it has a more, it's got a simpler meaning than that. It's got a simpler meaning that it means like when you're speaking with another person, that the two of you come to the same kind of, I mean, if you get me, if I say the word, then you're gonna know the answer. But like, what do you feel this means when it comes to two people talking to each other?
I feel connection, but I don't know if that's the same word as you use in, like, because I know, like, it's kind of like, it sounds kind of like Hawaiian, but I don't know if it's the same meaning.
Yes, it's basically the same meaning, but I guess the English word that I'm looking for is understanding. Understanding, and then at the same time, it also means clear. Like we clearly understand each other. It's clear, it's obvious, it's transparent. So that's what malama means. So when we use it in the context of an ipu, which is already established as a dish or cup, what would you think that an ipu malama is? Like what kind of ipu is transparent? What kind of material is it made out of?
Are you asking everybody or somebody?
Whoever can answer.
Is it a glass?
Yes, very good. It's a glass cup. But it's interesting.
Can everybody else hear?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I guess I cut out for a little bit.
No worries. Anybody got the meaning of ipu malama?
Is anything made out of glass? Is that?
Well, yeah. So it would be glass, but we're looking for the specific, because when you combine ipu and malama together, what kind of glass is it?
A glass cup.
There you go, glass cup. Let's see if we're correct. There we go. Glass cup that we can see through. Awesome job, guys. Way to work together. Going on to the next slide, we have Sipuni. Anybody got a guess as to what this is?
Spoon.
Spoon, very good. I'm hearing you, George, but you're really soft, so I just barely got that.
Oh.
No worries, no worries. And then this is another example, of course, of an upunono. This is a pretty obvious example of a upunono. And spoon. Going on to the next slide, we probably have Knifey. Anybody have any idea what knifey means?
Knife.
Knife. Awesome, Tamafandene. And we have a knife. Another upunono. Knife. Knifey. What about Laulau? There are no wrong answers here, guys. Feel free to shout out whatever you guys feel like, and then we can discuss it. Did I mute everybody?
No, I just don't know what it is.
Everybody knows what a laulau is in Hawaiian? That's probably a more
Would it be a bowl?
a what?
The taro leaves wrapped in pork.
Yeah, would it be a bowl?
Not really a bowl, but it's a very interesting concept because, like Tamafanene said, right? You have taro leaves and you wrap them around pork and then you cook it. And there's all kinds of different things you could wrap in the taro leaves, but that's what's called a laulau. But what I believe the laulau is actually referring to is Tamafanene, what do you wrap around the taro leaves? Because there's another layer of leaves that go around the taro leaves, right? Before you cook it.
Yeah.
Anybody can answer. If you guys got the answer, just go right ahead. What do you wrap around the taro leaves when you're cooking laulau?
Is it banana leaves?
No, it's not banana leaves.
Oh,
Tea leaf.
Tinfoil.
Tea leaf. Yeah, tea leaf is what we call lau tea in Samoan. I'm not sure what they call it in Hawaiian. Is it called tea in Hawaiian too? Ikeole? Well, the tea leaves are, so this is the interesting part, right? Because you don't eat the tea leaves. You kind of just lay them out and then you eat whatever's in the laulau on top of the tea leaves. So the laulau is actually what I believe is the setting for where you eat. Now in Samoa, we use this word laulau to refer to something that you eat on as well. But it's what, like now you plates and forks and knives and all of that. So everything that you place those things on top of is what we call the laulau. Anybody got an idea of, I'm sure Leone knows what this word is. What is this word in Samoan, Leone?
Laulau table.
Table, right. So it's an interesting concept because it's originally what we used to eat on were like the leaves, and now we use this to eat on, and it's the same word. Laulau is table, and again, this is a really good example of a indigenous word that has come to mean something modern. The meaning's changed to mean something completely different, yet it remains indigenous. Nofoa. Anybody got any idea what nofoa means?
Is it a no?
Go ahead, tell me if I find any. You roll with that.
Is it where you sit?
Yeah, what do you call where you sit?
Chair.
Chair. Very. You got it, man. You got it. Nofoa is chair. What is the word for sit?
Nofo.
Nofo, right. So nofo, nofoa means chair. You can actually say nofoanga too, but nofoanga means more like where you live or where your placement is at that time. So if you're in a position during a meeting or something like that, then you could use nofoanga. But nofoa has come to mean the Western understanding of what a chair is. And it's interesting too because in Samoan history, we don't normally sit on chairs. It's not something, because we're very big on respect and everybody being at the same level. So we're used to sitting on the ground. We don't really have nofoas. But nofoa is not a upunano. It is not a loan word. It's actually a word that we use to refer to what is called a throne in Samoa. Like certain Samoan ali'i had status where they sat above everybody else. That's why you have a village in Samoa called Nofua Ali'i, or the throne. So very, very interesting. But yes, Tamafa Nene has guessed correctly. It is a chair. Nofua means chair. This is a good one. This is one of the first Samoan words I learned. Anybody got any clue what this means?
Rubbish.
Rubbish. Who was that? Was that George?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, this is one of the ones we learned super early, because one of the first fiaos that you do is throw away the rubbish. So yeah, I mean, my daughter already knows what this is. La pisi. Now, is this an indigenous word or an upunano?
Upunano.
Yeah, upunano. Obviously from the English word rubbish. And oh, there. This is some clean rubbish, man. I wish my rubbish was this clean. Look at that. All right, going out with rubbish, we have Pusa Isa. Anybody want to give me a shout at what Pusa Isa is? This is another pretty common one.
Icebox.
Icebox, very good. So we notice how the, I mean, if you were to break it apart, you have Pusa, which is, I know that George knows what Pusa is because we have an uncle named Pusa. So Pusa means box, and then Isa is obviously upunono of ice. So if you notice, the placement of the words is opposite of English. So instead of ice box, we have box ice. And it works the same way with ice water and other noun and adjectives that we have in Samoa, where the adjective is actually after the noun. Okay, moving forward, Pusa Isa is icebox, which remains till today. They I don't think that they've found an upunano for a refrigerator. I don't ever hear anybody ever calling it a lefichalita or something like that. So very good. Oh, Vinny. Anybody, go ahead.
The oven.
Oven, very good. Oven, another upunano, oven. So we have the oveni, which is this part down here. There's actually a Samoan word for it called onga umu. And so onga means so prefix onga means the middle of something. And then umu, of course, is the umu that we do in the ground. So the onga umu would be the middle of the umu, and that's what this kind of replicates right here with the oven. But onga umu is different from oveni in that it just means the oven part right here, whereas oveni can refer also to the stove up here. So this whole thing right here is an oveni, but onga umu is just the middle part right here. As far as I understand. Anybody want to correct me, go ahead, because I don't know everything. And moving forward, we got tui. So this is the last in the triplets that we have. That we mentioned the other two earlier, but this is the third triplet that's been black sheep all the way at the end. Anybody know what tui is?
Fork.
Fork, awesome. Tui is fork, obvious Samoan word. It means to stab or poke something. And we have tui right there, which is also my last name, Tui. Mea tala apa, this is a good one. Anybody know what mea tala apa is? We talked about apa earlier, which is, Tamafanene, what did we say apa was earlier when you said apa ingu?
Can.
Can, right. So what is a mea tala apa? Tala means to open.
Can opener.
Can opener. Very good. Anytime we hear tala, it means to open, and it also means to speak or to talk, but it has a connotation there of you opening your mouth. So it's got, you know, they're related. The words are related, and which is why they have one word. Mea.
Talking can.
There you go. Talking can. You're gonna make the can talk. So mea means thing. Mea is a we say thing, but it also means it could mean item. So this would be like the item to make the can talk, or the thing to open the can. So mea talaapa means can opener or can talker.
Or use a knife to open.
Yeah, we also use knives to open. So where's a knifey? So in Samoa, we commonly use this as our mea kala'apa. Mea kala'apa is more a specific word for a can opener, but this is the more common tool that we use in Samoa. I used to get scolding a lot whenever I use this because people would be scared I get hurt. I was like, well, masang ka Samoa, kalale apa rin knifey. Yeah, tala apa. How are we doing on time? Oh. So this is why I don't like being the person sharing everything too, because I want to make sure that I'm we're almost at 5 o'clock, so we will end pretty soon after we're done sharing these last few things. So we won't get into the last vocabulary because there's a whole bunch of other vocabulary. We're going to get to destinations, and I was going to tie this in with our conversational skills that we did last time about having a conversation where you see somebody, say how you're doing, and then I'm going here and you're going there. So that will be for the next 2 weeks when we get into this. Yes. So Tamafa Nene brought up that bolo is another word for knifey. And that is a very, very good that's a very good contribution. Thank you, Tamafa Nene. So bolo is actually a respect word. We have these words that when you address somebody that is an elder or has a position that you need to show them respect, you switch out the word. So like if you're going to ask somebody where they're going and you're same level as that person, you're aluifia. But if you're going to ask somebody that you're going to use a word that shows them that you know that they are that they hold a position in the church, or you know that that person is a talking chief or a high chief, or even if you're just trying to, show somebody respect, there's different words that you use. So if I'm going to ask somebody where they're going, I would say ete aluifea. But if I'm going to change it up because I want to show this person I know that they're a talking chief, I would be like oe maliuifea lautofa, something like that. Lautofa would be the word that addresses that I know that they are a talking chief, and then maliu is the word that you use for talking chiefs. Maliu is the word that you switch out that means go. Where are you going? So alu is for people that are your peers, and then maliu is for talking chiefs, and then I believe with chiefs and for people of religious positions, then you would use the word susu or ete susuifia, which is another good story, which I'll probably tell at the end instead of getting into this. But we're going to close up our vocabulary for now. Stop screen sharing, and then we'll get into our conversation. We had a pretty good turnout today. Thank you guys, everybody, for showing up. Oh, hi, my daughter. Nice to see you, baby Loopy. Malama. Exit full screen. Participants. Oh, poor Angela. She was in the waiting room this whole time. I'm so sorry. Sorry, Angela. Cat.
Can you say that respectfully again?
For which one? How to say?
You're asking where you're going.
Ete aluifea is the peer one for a talking chief. Ete maliuifea lautofa. So that lautofa is just an adage you put at the end. to let the person know. Like you've already said maliu, which is the word you use for tula fale, but like you kind of throw an embellishment on there on the end to let that person know that you're, you know, not just am I using the word, but I also understand who you are. Respect in Samoa is all about knowing the person, knowing who the person is without having to ask them, kind of thing. And then with the chief, it's susu. So I think I'll try to, because I like to tell a little bit of oral history before we close up. So I think I'll use the susu explanation to understand why we use the word susu. And once again, this is not a standardized, in other words, this is not the only story. There's a lot of stories in Samoa about how this came about, but this is one of the ones that I heard. So that's why it sticks with me. When I learn the oral history, it sticks with me better than when I read a book. So this is the story that I heard, and it may be told differently by somebody else, but hopefully the way I heard it helps you guys understand it and learn as well. But before I get into that, do we have any more questions? I'm really happy, you know, Tamafane, thank you so much for your contributions today, because questions really help us to understand things better. Anybody else got any other questions we need? All right, going once, going twice, and sold. Okay, moving into oral tradition segment of our recording today. So, looking back into Samoan history, there is there's a lot of Samoan history that has to do with the females and the empowered females within our history, within the past of Samoa, and these are a lot of our ancestors. And one of the most notable ancestors that we have is Nafanua. Nafanua was the war goddess of Samoa, and the reason why she's considered a war goddess is because whoever had Nafanua on her side during the time of wars was guaranteed victory. She was considered to have mana that allowed her to overpower any other enemy that she came into contact with. And it was a very interesting story about Nafanua, because initially she had gone to war to avenge her uncle who was being mistreated in Sava'i. And when the enemy realized that they were getting beaten by a woman because her titi had blown up and then it had exposed her bare chest, and they realized they were fighting a woman, the opposite side of the war began to flee because they didn't think a woman had that kind of power that they could be overcome by her. So the uncle of Nafanua was a man by the name of Tai'i who lived in Sava'i. He was overthrown by a opposing village, and when they were trying to humiliate him in front of his village, they had him climb a coconut tree, upside down with the feet first. When he got to the top of the coconut tree, he let out a great gasp for air, and that gasp for air was recorded in oral history as a proverb. So the proverb goes, "Walongo I pulotu le mapuea a Tai'i." Tai'i's gasp for air was heard in Pulotu. Now, what that means is that this guy not cried out for help, but he gasped for air so loudly that it was heard all the way in Pulotu. Pulotu is what's known as the Pacific Islands afterlife, and that is where that's where Nafanua dwelt with her parents, Savea Si'uleo and Tilafeng. Yeah. So when Nafanua heard her uncle cry out for help, she came to his aid, and that's where the war started with Nafanua becoming the war goddess. It all started with that one action of Tai gasping for air. I'm sorry, bro?
Her father gave her 4 weapons.
Right. So you can elaborate more on that part, because that part I don't know.
I forgot what the word. I forgot what the weapons are called. I just know that he gave her 4. 2 she gave to Matuna, and I mean, yeah, 1 she gave. Yeah, 2 she gave to Matuna, and the other one she used it, and then the 4th one she didn't use.
Are you talking about Tuna and Fata or Tuna and Matuna?
Her adopted parents, Matuna and Matuna.
Oh, okay. I thought Matuna and Matuna had a difference. Weren't they involved with the Saumani Afaese?
I think there's a lot
That's
of
another story involved in the same couple.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Matuna, she accidentally killed them. She told them to stay out of the way, and she accidentally killed them when she swung her silafai.
Tafi Silafai and Uli Masao.
Yeah. So she accidentally killed them when she swung her. I named my daughter Tafi Silafai. That's why.
Oh, colorful. Yeah, Malala. So yes, that's another part of the story that we're grateful for Tamafanene for being able to share with us. Now, when we get to the Susu part, so after Nafanua was world-renowned for being the war goddess, there came a semi-time of peace between the Samoans where she was known to swim from place to place. Now, Nafanua's mother was Tila Fainga of the famous twins that were known to swim from island to island. They're the ones who are reportedly brought the tattoo tools from Fiji to Samoa. So that's why they were well known for that. Now there's a village in Upolu, I believe, that Nafanua goes to visit, and when she gets there, she's still dripping wet from having swam there in the ocean. And when she gets there, she's reluctant to go into the house. And that's when the chief of the house calls out to her because he realizes who she is. And he says, Susu mai pia oi. So that's where we get the term Susu from, because she was wet and she showed up at the place. The man respected her so much that he allowed her to enter the house even though she was still wet. But just real quick, because we were talking about the proverb, Walongo ipulotu le mapuea taii. So with that proverb, Walongo ipulotu, so Nafanua was living in Pulotu with her parents when she heard the gasp for air, and she came out of the afterlife in order to help her family win the wars in Samoa. And when you use that proverb, it has a connotation of that, like when you're struggling through something, you're not alone. There's always somebody who's going to hear you. That's why a lot of times when people are going through something, I use that proverb in order to comfort them. It's just another way of comforting somebody when they're going through a struggle. All right. Anything else to add, Tamafanene, anybody, before we close up?
So, Susumai would be a respectful way of asking somebody to come?
Yeah, it's kind of like, it can mean either, though. It can mean either come or go. That's the story of how it originated, and it's evolved to switch out the word go or come when you're talking to somebody. So when somebody arrives at your place, you can be like, Susumai, welcome, come in. And then if somebody's going somewhere and you're asking them where you can say, Wae susu ifia.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so I think we've had a great class today. I want to thank everybody for showing up and everybody for their contributions. Tamafanene, did you have something to say?
Oh, I was just going to say thank you. I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I'm glad that, I'm glad that there's a big interest here, and we're going to get more folks coming in. I think it's just a matter of getting a later time. Before we close up, Wesa, do you mind if I use kako is coming to Talo from more? I can mute.
Te whamatalo matutuma, te tai morene, asamatu na fiu for in med, and matu whanau, te tai mo, maosinora nao, in a matu whasamo, te tuma ona, lolo fumalanga ling, e te matu yasumo, te mapui e te matu, te lunga, te amanga luenga, le lotstale vasimalo sio na o yesu, amen.
Amen. Faftai. All right, everybody. Faftai tele lava mahalan wiloa. You guys have a great 2 weeks, and we'll see you back 2 weeks from now, Sunday, at our regular time of 7.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you. Are they doing? Is there somebody? One of your friends is doing Olelo Hawaii too?
Yeah. We join the Olelo Hawaii class every Saturday morning at 10. So it was yesterday. The lady who usually does it wasn't there, so we had Anakala Lehua Kawai Kapu Okalani Frank Hewitt. He was doing it, and he's a really good kumuhula as well as very, very knowledgeable in the Olelo Hawaii. So we've been learning a lot from him, and that's where I got that whole concept of Ike. So those videos that I posted up yesterday, everything I learned about Ike came from Anakala.
I used to watch some of his dances.
Yes, Mom.
I think that's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, man.
During the Monotrail stuff, I saw him he wrote a song for it, I think.
Yeah, he's an excellent songwriter.
It was all over Facebook.
Yeah. Do you want a link to the class? It's free every Saturday.
Okay, I'll go there too.
Yeah, so they have a group chat as well. So I'll bring you into the group chat, and then they post up the Zoom in there every Saturday. So usually, but I got to do it yesterday because the original teacher was AOL. So I'm glad that we got to do that yesterday.